This is Tee It Up. Tee It Up, Brooke. Hey everyone, this is Tee It Up, brought to you by Pro Skate Corner, located in Toronto, Ontario. Friendly reminder, head over to Pro Skate Corner in the GTA. If you need your skates done, any equipment needs, Jeff Potter will hook you up and take good care of you. But we're back, Brooke. How are you doing today?
Doing all right, Lindsay. It's the beginning of a new month, so obviously trying to set some new goals. I'm gonna start going back into some serious workouts, so I'm pretty excited about that. I've taken some time away from the gym, but I've been all right. So March has been a good start for me, especially with everything that went on last month. But I'm also excited. It's Women's History Month. So we just came off a really, really great and successful Black History Month, which I thought was incredible. And now we're moving into Women's History Month. So I've seen a lot of initiatives already that are tying the two together. And obviously, it's great for us celebrating the Year of the Woman. So otherwise, things have been good. I was back in the office today.
Oh, wow.
For the first time since I went once once last October, and before that was last March. So it was
Weird,
nice to
eh?
be back for sure. What's that?
I'm sure that was pretty weird being in there again.
Yeah, it was weird. And there was only 4 of us out of the 45, I believe, that are in the New York office. And luckily the chairman was there, so he bought us lunch, which I was pumped about.
Dang.
But otherwise, yeah, doing real right. Lindsay, how are you doing up there in good old Canada?
Oh, I'm doing good. I'm back in Toronto. I'm back at Pro Skate Corner, taping there, recording live from the studio at the moment. But oh, things are good.
Lab.
Yeah, at the lab. No, things are pretty good, Brooke. Our team, we just hit the ice again for practices this week, so hips are feeling it, groins are feeling it a little bit. So that was a long month off of the ice, and same deal. I'm just trying to get back into shape. Like I was talking with my teammates the other day, and it's like, think about how many times your body has been like in and out of shape this year. Like it's crazy. It's like when the quarantine hit last year, I finished my season and I was like, I'm taking a nice long break. I'm going to just do maybe some bitty workouts and then some easy workouts. And then, and then I had to get back into shape like in the summer, and then kind of like, we get ready for the bubble and the bubble hits, and then have to quarantine for 2 weeks, can't do anything. I was also sick, so I was a little bit of all over the place, but we're back at it, getting back into it again, and I'm pretty excited to be on the ice again, and other than just the outdoor rinks.
Yeah, no kidding. I hear you. I remember there was one thing that I learned that was huge from my kinesiology coaching days at UNH, and that the stat was, if you don't work out for an entire week, like 1 week straight, nothing, you lose 10% of what you're like, whatever your 100% was at that moment. You take a week off, you lose 10% of that. So add that up, taking extra time off, it does catch up. So, but like you said, it's hard. It's hard, especially during the summers too. And when I was back home in New Hampshire, a lot of the ice is out of the rinks, so it's hard to find time to skate. So coming back down and then skating again, it's like you said, definitely takes a toll on the hips for sure. But that's all right. But yeah, it's exciting because obviously, ramping back up hockey again, and something exciting that I saw that's happened throughout the course of the past week or so since we last talked is NHL rinks are welcoming back fans. So that sense of normalcy coming back a little bit has been awesome. So that's big news in hockey as well, which is great.
That's huge. And there's actually been a lot going on in hockey lately. So big shout out to the PWHPA. They made history playing in Madison Square Gardens. That was pretty cool. They did a really good job on the broadcast and all that. It was NHL Network covered that, and so did Sportsnet. So it's pretty cool. Doesn't matter what kind of hockey it is, turning it on and it's women playing. That's pretty cool to see. So props to them. It was a big success. And I guess they go again next week in Chicago.
Yeah, that'll be really exciting to watch again, like you said, and like we've consistently talked about. If you can see it, you can be it. So, just getting that national coverage is great for the sport. No matter what league or who you're playing for, we're all playing women's hockey, and we're all here for the same goal. So it's really exciting. And again, like you said, back in Chicago, so it'll be entertaining to follow that along. Again, making history every step of the way. So what we're doing as NDub and the CDub, we're doing a great job. So, or excuse me, not the CDub, the PDub now.
I don't get it twisted.
It's great to see. Yeah, don't get it twisted. But it's really good to see, that national broadcast aspect of it too, which is great. So, and again, shout out to Cuse. They're going to CHAs this week. We're excited to watch that. That'll be super fun. Obviously, we have some bias towards Cuse, but because 2019 champions, not a big deal. But like,
Cuse is a wagon. Everyone knows that.
Yeah, Cuse is a wagon. Yeah, we did have some good times. That was great. The trophy will never remain the same.
Yeah. Oh man, that was definitely winning the CHAs is a highlight of my Syracuse career. So that was pretty special. I mean, we celebrated hard, we played hard, and we got bag skated hard all week leading up to NCAAs. Never forget. That was pretty brutal.
Yeah, we're all like taping ice bags to our ankles and our knees because we're sore as hell before the biggest game we've ever played in. What is this? Well, I guess that's what champions do, though, right? Because we're champions.
Yeah, seriously, that's exactly it. Must be. Frig. Oh no, that was awesome. So pretty cool to see, and then also the IIHF Women's World Championships that's been postponed. It's supposed to be in Halifax the week of April 7th to 17th. And I'm, fingers crossed this actually happens, Brooke, because Nova Scotia has some really tight restrictions, and it's, they already had to cancel last year. They tried to do it there. And so hopefully we can see, that by postponing it, pushing it back, last summer things kind of opened up a little bit more. There's less restrictions, so hopefully we can we'll see some less restrictions, and they'll allow the women to play hockey like we saw the World Juniors. And so it would be great to see some women's hockey get to play too. But I know Canada is already out there and they're training and all that because they have to do the 2-week quarantine out there. It doesn't matter outside of province; they have their own 2-week quarantine. It's that's where our good friend Allie Monroe's from.
Yep, that's right. I know. I was going to say, and my current teammate, Mallory Rushton, is also from Nova Scotia, but she's been talking too a lot about those heavy restrictions. And it's crazy because, like you said, the women's game last year that tournament was postponed. And then this year, we obviously see the men's be pulled off really successfully. So obviously, we're pulling for the women's tournament to be able to come through. But, on this topic of hockey and on this topic of talking about Syracuse, we couldn't help but to bring in another Syracuse alum, and obviously very true to us from the Newhouse School. We are super pumped to have Katie Gaus. So she is a former field hockey player, but turned hockey reporter. So obviously we're very biased, and we are happy that you're on the ice hockey side. But again, we were just introing you, fellow Syracuse Orange, Newhouse alum, working now as a reporter for the Florida Panthers, and actually did some coverage for the NWHL, which was awesome and we loved. So that was great. So first of all, Katie, thank you for joining us. And I had to mention before too, I was networking with Adeline last year when I graduated, and I was talking with her the other day, and I was like, oh my gosh, wait, we're bringing Katie on. Like, I'm totally turning everything full circle now. This is crazy. So another Syracuse connection, obviously, but welcome. We're really excited to have you.
Thank you guys so much. No, excited to be here. I think we all know it at this point, but hockey is such a small world. Syracuse is a small world, so there's a bunch of different small worlds coming together, but certainly happy to be here. And I know I played field hockey, but my heart has always been with ice hockey. Just they didn't have any girls ice hockey when I grew up. I had to make the switch. So happy to be joining you guys and seeing some orange.
Oh, that's awesome. The Newhouse Mafia is coming in here. We had Steve on last week. Now it's we had to get you on here. It's awesome to see. So I guess my first question was going to be why hockey? Why hockey reporting? I know you have a long history of it. So
Yeah, so for me, I grew up in Pittsburgh and it was a big hockey family. My dad had played and my brother played. My dad coached my brother and I started with figure skating and pretty quickly was like, Mom, this isn't my thing. I want to hit some people. I want to get a little more physical. So finally convinced her, broke her down and played hockey starting at about 7 or 8 years old, all the way till high school. And when I got to high school, they didn't have a girls team. So I made the switch to field hockey, but kept hockey in the back of my mind. And when I did get to college for my undergrad, I went to SUNY Geneseo, and that's a big D3 school for hockey. I started reporting and doing the radio broadcasting and stuff for that, and just quickly realized this is what I loved. Got to work for the Amherst in Rochester for a bit, and just had a lot of fun with it. And hockey is just such a, I mean, you guys know, it's such a fast-paced sport. It's so exciting to watch. So to be able to cover it and watch it full time and have it be my job, it makes perfect sense. I mean, who wouldn't want to do that pretty much every single day? So that's kind of the quick story of how it sort of happened. But I think everyone that's in the hockey world sort of knows it. You grow up with it and it kind of just becomes a part of you. And then I never really wanted to let that go.
Oh, that's awesome.
I know. Well, Lindsay can speak to it, but she started in figure skating too. So we,
Yeah.
as hockey players, we're all very excited when we can transition the figure skaters over, and the field hockey players too, because I know that
Yeah.
at Syracuse, you probably heard it. They're like, oh, like hockey. So field hockey, we're like, no, like it's annoying that we have to explain that it's ice. Like
Yeah.
that's no. But anyways, that's okay. We'll get over it at some point. But so working backwards, we want to touch a little bit on the NWHL first, and then we'll work through your Syracuse time. But working with the NWHL this year, obviously a very different format, being virtual for most reporters, and being in a bubble situation where nobody really had home ice. What was your experience like covering at all the games, and what are you most excited for in terms of broadcasting for women's hockey moving forward?
Oh my goodness. Well, first and foremost, when I got the opportunity, while I obviously knew about the league, I hadn't really done any coverage of it in the past. So I spent probably 3 or 4 weeks just cramming like it was like a final exam, trying to learn every team and every history and all of you wonderful players and all of your backstories. And for me as a reporter, I always take a lot of pride in knowing, every step of people's careers. I really like to know, where did they play prep? Where did they play youth hockey? Like, what are the different connections in college? So I have notes literally for days that I will save and hopefully get to use again here for many, many future seasons to come. But, the experience was certainly unique covering it for Twitch and doing it as a color commentator. I had only ever really worked as a reporter. So I kind of pipe in, I do my interviews, but to be, responsible for sort of the whole game and talking throughout and bantering back and forth and doing some play-by-play. And obviously it had helped to have Steve by my side because he's a total professional, but the experience was just awesome. And I think for me, not that I didn't expect it, but I was just so pleasantly surprised at how great the hockey was, and so disappointed that it ended the way that it did. And I hope that we can still find a way to finish it, but it was so exciting. And it just was a really nice testament to just how skilled all you girls are and how women's hockey is right up there, and it should be broadcast, and it is exciting, and it is something people want to watch. Like seeing the thousands and thousands of people that were joining the Twitch stream and chatting and commenting, it was just really cool to see. And I think it's kind of only the beginning, but to be a part of it for that really, that first season in that, that digital Twitch world was really, really cool. And the fact that it was in Lake Placid, which is somewhere that I'm just obsessed with to begin with, made it even cooler. I just wish I had been there. Would have loved to be there with you guys. Such a cool spot.
Oh yeah, for sure. So you mentioned the Twitch broadcast. What are your thoughts on that? I know, everyone, my parents said how, you guys did such a great job talking with the fans and in the comments and everything. Like, what were your thoughts on all that?
It was unbelievable. I just, not to say that men's hockey, fans aren't great, but I've never really been around a more positive group of people in my life. I'm used to, having some people kind of chirp and maybe question, some of the things that I say or I ask. And everyone was just so happy to be watching hockey and to be watching women's hockey that it was just like the nicest group I've ever been a part of. So to be able to engage and call them out and answer questions, that was another thing I think I enjoyed the most, was that there were people who didn't really know the game as well. So to be able to help people learn about hockey and to actually just like build that, understanding with new fans and just grow the game from that sense was really, really cool. But to be able to interact with them, it was fun. And it also gave us something to do. If I didn't have any commentary, I could just go to the chat and see what other people were saying. It was helpful.
That's so funny. I know. So we talked about it a little bit with Steve, and we touched on it pretty much every episode, but how funny the Aaron the Zam Man thing came to be. So I don't know if you have any like insider scoop on how that evolved. Like, we were players watching it and we're like, now there's merch for Aaron, and we're like, what? But basically the backstory that I got is that, like you had mentioned, people who don't even watch hockey were tuning in and they were fascinated by this machine that was going back and forth. And they were like, oh, that's cool. Like, can they do this, or can they change the lights? And they were surprised, as you mentioned, how quickly things that they asked for were followed through with. So they were like, oh, we love this. So that's kind of how that evolved. So I didn't know, this is something, like I said, that we've heard through the grapevine, and we're trying to get to the bottom of it, and we don't know where it came from.
No, I think I've got the same info. It was just people hadn't really seen this magical Zamboni machine. And I think we all know from being little kids, like, everyone loves a Zamboni. Growing up, used to collect the different teams and go to the rink and want to sit on it or get to ride on it. I mean, it's fascinating, and it just exploded. And I think between, the new fans and then the Twitch chat, they just started saying that they loved it, and the NWHL and the Twitch streams were smart enough to really capitalize. And next thing you know, you've got Zamboni shirts being given out for the games, and people were loving it. But kudos to Aaron. He capitalized on social media, I think, getting his Twitter going and getting some new followers. I think everybody just had a great time with it. But I'm not exactly sure how it became what it was, but I was all for it.
Yeah, he's competing with David Ayers for the most famous Zamboni man. Yeah, pretty wild. But so, covering men's hockey and women's hockey, what's the biggest difference that you notice?
Oh my goodness. I mean, I think just the kind of the access, in terms of the fact that, I mean, obviously with COVID, it makes things even more difficult, but the fact that, when we're doing these men's games, like you've got a full broadcast team at every arena, all these different cameras. I mean, I just think that there's just like a lot more resources being put into it. So you get kind of a different level of access. But in terms of the game itself, I thought it was unbelievable how much there was similarities, the intensity. Although I wish there had been fans there, I loved being able to hear you guys on the benches. That was one of the coolest parts of covering it, was like being able to hear everyone cheering and everyone chanting and hearing everything everyone was saying. But then, also, from a personal standpoint, interacting with the players, on the NHL level, especially, these guys are pretty big time. They're making ridiculous amounts of money, and they maybe get a little bit jaded by just the constant barrage of media. Whereas when we would be interviewing all you ladies, like, you guys were so excited and eager to have that coverage. You hadn't been maybe totally like just muted to it yet. And so it was great, like asking a question and having someone thank you for asking that question. That's never happened to me before. So that was like a really cool moment, just to be like, you know what, like, this isn't like just the, the same, oh, play hard for a full 60 kind of an answer like that you get from some of the guys. Like, you guys really were thoughtful with your responses. And as a reporter, it makes the job a lot more rewarding to be able to really tell stories in a different way than just, the same old kind of statistics over and over again that you kind of get with guys. That's why I like, in the past, I've covered a lot of prospects and like kids kind of coming up through the league. I actually worked in the USHL for a while, and for me, that was really my favorite part of working in hockey, was right before they made it. And you got to kind of experience that cool moment when they're still, new and they're still green, and you get to really see the enjoyment in the game. And I felt like I really saw the enjoyment from my coverage of the women's league.
You didn't get too many get pucks deep, pucks on net. None
No,
of
I
those?
mean, you still answers are still answers. I mean, you gotta, you gotta get pucks deep and you gotta play a full 60, but there was a little bit more thought behind the responses, which I enjoy, especially as a reporter.
That's so funny you say that, because I don't think I've ever heard somebody say that as like in response to something like this in a casual conversation. Because obviously, like as players or as consumers of the sport, you're like, oh my gosh, it's the same interview over and over and over. And it's like at the end of the, I never watch the media at the end of the game because you kind of expect to hear, you know what I mean? So you hit it right on the nail with that. But I think so moving towards that, obviously, there are those similarities between our games and obviously the big differences, but I love learning about hockey culture in different areas. And obviously Florida is a very non-traditional spot to have some hockey teams. Obviously Tampa won last year, but I've always just been fascinated by Florida hockey. We had a teammate at Syracuse that was from Florida, and I'm like, you're the only person I've ever met that's actually played and been from Florida. So can you talk to us a little bit about the culture down there? Because I know, just in comparison, like you have Nashville that's crazy about hockey now, which never really was a hockey town before. So I think part of me thinks that Florida might be that like next hot hockey market, but I'm interested to hear about your perspective on the inside.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, well, when I first took the job here, like coming from Pittsburgh, and having the Penguins win 3 times over the course of when I was living there and working there, it went from being a good hockey town to an insane hockey town. It wasn't necessarily what to expect coming to Florida from that background. I have to say, you mentioned Tampa, and I think that ultimately winning is really the biggest recipe for finding a way to build that hockey buzz and just get that crazy fandom. But regardless, with the Panthers not ever having won the Stanley Cup, I will say that, this area is actually way more hockey focused than I would have thought. And not just on a pro level, but the practice rink we work out of has, youth teams. You've got the Junior Panthers up in Palm Beach. They've got the Hawks there. And the hockey quality is really good. There's this Florida Alliance team that travels all over. I mean, I was just shocked when I started really investigating what the hockey culture kind of like at the grassroots level looked like here. And I think we're starting to see it very slowly make an appearance in the NHL, where you get guys that are, making it to the NHL level that have come out of Florida. Even technically, Jack Cuse was born in Orlando. They may not spend their whole time here, but there are Florida roots. Last season, we had a trade where we ended up acquiring a player who had grown up here, Chase Prisky, who played at Quinnipiac and who is born and raised Florida kid. And to have him now in our organization, it's just kind of a cool full circle moment to sort of just summarize that Florida is slowly but surely becoming more of a hockey market. I think the cherry on top will be the Panthers finally not necessarily even winning the full Stanley Cup, but getting a really solid playoff run, kind of like we had back in '96. And I got to be honest, this season I didn't know what to expect with our new GM and our new team, but we're having a good time and we're rolling right now. And I'm not going to jinx it, knock on wood, but it's been really fun to watch. And you can just see it and feel it, even though we don't have full fans at the arena. People are into it. People are pumped. And the more you have success, the more that hockey becomes a priority. And it's been really cool to see. But yeah, it's certainly weird when you walk out of a rink and your like glasses fog up and you're sweating because it's so darn hot out and so humid. It'll never feel normal to me after having grown up in the North, but it's definitely working its way into the mix.
Oh, that's awesome. I can't wait for that day to maybe walk out and it's sun shining and in flip flops.
It's the best. The other day, with we gotta get some women's hockey to come down here and play some games, because I know every single one of the girls coming from up north would be totally cool with a little beach vacation.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome. That'd be the best road trip when you'd have to play there. That'd be awesome.
Exactly.
Yep. Can you give us your day in the life? Like, what does your average work week look like?
Well, so I'll say it's not right now. It's totally weird and not normal. But my dream job day in the life was all last season, and that was when I was traveling with the team. So, on a game week, you get on the jet, you fly wherever you're going, check into the hotel, you've got, medium meal, morning skate, go back to the hotel. And it's just crazy with COVID, how different things are. And me and my other reporter who I work with, Jess, are talking about it constantly because the level of access to the guys that we used to have compared to now, it's crazy how different it is. But I mean, there would be days where we'd literally all just be piled onto the same bus or all piled onto the same plane. And I mean, it's a really cool moment when you've got, a big victory and everyone's getting beers on the plane afterwards. And I mean, it was just like a total dream experience. The game nights are a grind, and, you would potentially be leaving a game at 11 at night, flying somewhere, not getting in, having to go through customs. Like last year, I want to say we played in Columbus. It was New Year's Eve. Finished the game. We were in the air flying to Ottawa as the ball dropped for the new year. What a year it was going to be. We had no idea yet. But then you go through customs, you get there, you have a quick drink, and then you go straight to bed because it's just nonstop. But I can honestly say, like, looking back on last season, I covered 41 of the however many games we ended up actually having. And now this year with only home games on my schedule, it's crazy to think, A, how did I ever do that? And B, why can't I still be doing that? Because I miss it. It's like you become addicted to the adrenaline rush of, traveling and covering games, and just, it's a really cool experience. But I just hope it goes back. That's all I can say, because right now my day in the life is basically Zoom. Just Zoom all day, every day. So it's an adjustment.
I was gonna say I speak for myself, but I'm sure Lindsay's on the same train. We miss game day traveling. So as much as home ice is fun, traveling, you have some of the best memories doing that.
Absolutely. Even going all the way back to when you were a kid, like all those road trips and hotels and mini sticks in the hallway. That's what it's all about.
Exactly. Yeah. So we're hoping for the day that comes back. But yeah, I mean, Zoom has been crazy. So it takes away from the whole experience. So I know that, as players, we're definitely eager to get back. And I can only imagine, your full-time job to cover that and to be involved in that so heavily I'm sure you're chomping at the bit. So we're there, we're right there with you.
We're all on the same page.
Yeah, absolutely. So now moving back to Syracuse, obviously at the beginning, we're all Syracuse alumni, which is great. I did my undergrad there, and then, Lindsay did her master's program. So I'm sure it's very different because it's a much more difficult program for you guys. But can you talk about, I guess this is a two-part question, talk about your experience not only in Newhouse and your education through there, but, being a part of Syracuse, because as we mentioned, the alumni network is incredibly strong. Everyone loves to help a fellow we say orange person now, not just orange men, but, we're all willing to help each other out. We're really excited when we find a fellow Syracuse alum. So can you just talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So my experience was even a little bit more different because I actually did my master's online. So when I decided to get my master's, I was working in Erie, PA as a sports anchor, and I was in like the local TV market, and I just absolutely hated it. I just was like, this is not right. This isn't my career. I don't know what my future looks like, but this isn't it. And I also didn't want to just quit a job and have nothing. So I was like, I'm going to go back to school, but financially going and living in Syracuse wasn't really possible. So the Newhouse online master's program had, I think, only maybe been around for a year or two. And so I was really fortunate that it was in existence. So I hopped on that train right away and actually lived back home in Pittsburgh while I was doing it. But interestingly enough, so my mom is from Syracuse. My grandpa is an alum, and so he's still a diehard Orange fan, and he's still got the tickets to all the different games and events. Not that he can go anymore, but Syracuse was always kind of in my family's blood, so it was kind of neat to be a part of that. But the master's program was like a year and a half, and it was just really awesome to be able to get the Newhouse, network while not actually having gone, because I would have loved to be there, and I've been to the campus a million times, but it was still like it's world renowned, and like people talk about it. The Newhouse Mafia is a real thing. If you reach out to someone from Newhouse, they will respond, they will get in touch. And so then being on the other side of that and having had the opportunity to have, current students or other alum reach out and network with me has been really, really awesome. And just to be able to put it on the resume, especially when I was still not sure what my next career step was going to be, knowing that I had Syracuse find me was just such a really like good feeling, because no matter what happens, like you're going to find your way, you're going to find a good job. It's just, it doesn't, like no one fails. Like they always find a way to promote you, to help you be successful. And it's just a really great network. So I was really lucky. I got to go to the campus once, didn't get to have a real graduation because by the time I was done, the world had kind of fallen apart. It took me a little longer than a year and a half because I kept pushing everything back because my jobs were always changing, but really, really awesome to be a part of. And I finally got the degree in the mail like 6 months ago. I lost it the first time, so I had to order another one, but it came, it's official. I can hang it up now and frame it. And it's just a really special group to be a part of. And, I wish I had actually been there in person, especially for some of the women's hockey, because when I was, familiar with Syracuse growing up, they didn't even have the girls program yet. So it's just been really great to see how the university has grown, from a sports standpoint as well. It's just super cool. And looks like they're heading to the CHAs right now, if I'm correct. I saw that on social today. So hopefully they'll bring some hardware home.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, for sure. That's great. I know like we both really enjoyed our time at Syracuse. We're a Syracuse podcast, like low key. We roll orange. We bleed orange a little bit here, but
I like it.
Wagon, like we said before.
Yeah. So I guess just to end it off here, what's a piece of advice that you would like to share? I'm an aspiring sports broadcaster, so I'm going to take this one for sure, but what's a piece of advice you have for any, aspiring females that want to get into the sports media industry?
Well, I mean, you guys are kind of already ahead of the game, because the first thing I would say is know everything that you can about the sport you want to be, covering, and you played it. So you've got that one totally figured out. The next thing would be, and it's a little bit different now, my old advice would always be just, get as many, in-person internships or experiences as you could to build relationships within the actual industry, with a team or with a network. But it's a little different right now because of the world being the way it is. But unconventional things like what you're doing, having this awesome podcast, and just finding ways to already continue to, build yourselves up and brand yourselves and give yourselves a demo reel. And it is exactly what you should be doing. And it's such an interesting industry right now because podcasts have really blown up. And so to be taking advantage of that kind of being the hot, trendy thing to do, it is so wonderful. But just, I think the biggest thing I would say is just always respond to anyone's emails and always reach out. And it with the Newhouse Mafia, but just in general, there's really no one in this industry that's not, willing to take a phone call or take an email and just, network with someone that really wants to do this, and who is 100% everything. I can say that that's how I am where I am. Everyone has a journey and it's always different, but ultimately having those connections and building those networking connections is really what's gonna be the difference maker. So you guys are on the right track, no question. And if you ever need anything, I'm your Florida connection, so I'm happy to help any way that I can. Between me and Goldie, you guys should have no problem down here.
Oh, amazing.
I know, Lindsay. I think we need to make a road trip. We might need to pick it up and take some episodes.
We'll get you tickets anytime you want. We'll get you in the booth. It'd be awesome.
Look at that.
Sign me up. Open up those borders and I'm there.
Oh, that's right. Lindsay's stuck
Right.
up.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Awesome. Well, Kate, this has been so fun. We really appreciate you having the time to come on and talk with us. And again, from one Syracuse alum to another, we're really thankful. And I know we learned a lot today. So we really appreciate your time, and we'll definitely be following up on, and go Panthers. I think we're both Panthers fans now.
Kind of has to be at this point. There we go.
Thank you so
I
much.
love it.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you guys. It was so much fun. If you ever need anything, don't hesitate to reach out.
Absolutely. Thank you.